Linwood Hall is a 110-room neoclassical revival mansion located in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania. It was designed by architect Horace Trumbauer for industrialist Peter A.B. Widener and constructed between 1897 and 1899. Linwood Hall is the second largest surviving Gilded Age mansion in the United States and once housed one of the most significant art collections in American history. This collection, assembled by Peter and his son, Joseph E. Widener, was later donated to the National Gallery of Art in 1942. Peter Widener passed away at Linwood Hall on November 6, 1915, at the age of 80, after a prolonged period of poor health. He was predeceased by his elder son, George Dunton Widener, and grandson, Harry Elkins Widener, both of whom perished in the RMS Titanic disaster in 2019-12. Over the subsequent decades, ownership of the estate changed hands several times, and significant portions of the grounds were sold off during the 1940s. From 1952 until the late 1990s, the property was used by a Presbyterian seminary, after which it was abandoned. As of 2023, the mansion is undergoing renovation by the Linwood Hall Preservation Foundation, which announced a purchase agreement for the estate in February 2023. Constructed from Indiana limestone, the T-shaped Linwood Hall, once dubbed the last of the American Versailles by Widener's grandson, measures 268 feet, 82 meters in length and 215 feet, 66 meters in depth. In addition to 55 bedrooms, the 110-room mansion featured a vast art gallery, a ballroom large enough to accommodate 1,000 guests, an indoor swimming pool, wine cellars, a farm, carpentry and upholstery studios, and even its own electrical power plant. The original estate spanned 300 acres, including 33 acres enclosed within a fenced ornamental garden. This area includes a gatehouse and a smaller structure called Linwood Lodge, also known as Conklin Hall, built in the same architectural style as the main mansion. The estate's core grounds have remained intact since the 1952 sale. A 2014 article in the Philadelphia Inquirer described the mansion as dripping with silk, velvet, and gilded moldings. The rooms furnished with chairs from Louis XV's palace, Persian rugs, and Chinese pottery. The halls crammed with art by Raphael, Rembrandt, El Greco, Van Dyck, and Donatello. Time magazine also documented a lavish party held at Linwood Hall in 1932. Hidden among the trees near Rhinebeck, New York, lie the haunting ruins of Wyncliffe Mansion, once a grand symbol of wealth and high society. Built in 1853 for Elizabeth Schermerhorn Jones, a wealthy socialite and relative of writer Edith Wharton, the mansion reflected the luxury and elegance of America's Gilded Age. Designed in a Gothic and Romanesque revival style, Wyncliffe boasted towering arches, intricate stonework, and stunning views of the Hudson River. It featured over 24 rooms and was surrounded by beautiful gardens, making it a perfect retreat for New York's elite. Its lavish lifestyle even inspired the phrase, "keeping up with the Joneses," referring to the pressure to match the wealth of the Jones family. But over time, Wyncliffe fell into disrepair. It was abandoned in the 1950s, and decades of neglect, weather, and vandalism have left it in ruins. Today, only the crumbling walls remain, slowly being reclaimed by nature. Though silent now, Wyncliffe Mansion still echoes the past, a fading reminder of forgotten grandeur and the rise and fall of American aristocracy. Tucked away near the stunning Lake Como in northern Italy stands a mysterious and eerie building known as Villa de Vecchi. This mansion is famous not only for its unique architecture, but also for the dark and tragic legends that surround it. Built in 1854 by Italian aristocrat Count Felix de Vecchi, it was intended to be a peaceful retreat for him and his family. But fate had something very different in store. Just a few years after construction, Count de Vecchi's wife died unexpectedly, and their daughter vanished under mysterious circumstances. Following these heartbreaking events, locals began reporting strange phenomena, windows opening and closing on their own, and whispers echoing through the halls at night. Consumed by grief, the Count eventually took his own life. These tragedies sparked rumors that the villa was cursed. To this day, some locals claim they still hear music and footsteps coming from the empty halls after dark. As the years passed, the villa fell into decay and was mostly abandoned. During World War II, it was reportedly used for military purposes. In the 1960s, rumors swirled that members of the legendary rock band Led Zeppelin stayed there, though this has never been officially confirmed. Today, Villa de Vecchi remains partially in ruins, yet it continues to draw curious tourists, photographers, and paranormal investigators. Strangely, while many nearby buildings have collapsed or disappeared, this one still stands. No one knows for certain whether the stories are true, but one thing is clear. This villa is more than just brick and stone. It holds the weight of sorrow, secrets, and fear that have lingered for generations. Maybe that's why it's often called the most haunted house in Italy. So, If you ever travel to Italy and decide to visit Villa de Vecchi, remember, you're not just stepping into history, you're stepping into a mystery. Nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, Swannanoa Palace is a stunning example of early 20th century architecture and grandeur. Built between 1912 and 1916 by James H. Dooley, a wealthy Virginia businessman, this magnificent mansion was inspired by the grand palaces of Europe, especially the Italian Renaissance style. Swannanoa spans over 30,000 square feet and boasts 105 rooms filled with exquisite details. From marble floors and ornate ceilings to intricate woodwork and stained glass windows. Designed to impress, the palace was meant to be a summer retreat and a symbol of the Dooleys' wealth and social status. Despite its grandeur, the Dooleys never lived here full-time. After their deaths, the mansion changed hands several times, serving as a private residence, a seminary, and even a convent. Today, Swannanoa Palace is a popular historic site open for tours, attracting visitors with its rich history and breathtaking architecture. The palace's unique charm lies in its blend of European elegance and American ambition, making it a captivating destination for history buffs and architecture lovers alike. Swannanoa Palace stands as a timeless reminder of a bygone era of luxury and vision. Hamilton Palace was a country house located in Hamilton, South Lanarkshire, Scotland. It served as the seat of the Dukes of Hamilton and was widely regarded as one of the grandest houses in the British Isles. The palace's origins date back to the 14th century. It was rebuilt in the Baroque style between 1684 and 1701, and later significantly expanded in the neoclassical style between 1824 and 1832. The palace stood at the center of the extensive Low Parks, now known as Strathclyde Country Park, with the Great Avenue, a broad, tree-lined north-south avenue over 3 miles, 5 kilometers long, forming its main axis. The Low Parks also contained the Hamilton Mausoleum, designed by David Hamilton, and the 11th century Netherton Cross. South of the Avon Water lay the High Parks, now Châtellerault Country Park, which included the Deer Park and the Châtellerault Hunting Lodge, designed by William Adam. The palace housed 2 libraries and a renowned collection of fine and decorative art, which were sold off in 2 major auctions held in 1882 and 1919. Hamilton Palace was demolished between 1921 and 1932 after coal mining beneath the structure was found to threaten its stability. The main building of Bennett College, Halcyon Hall, was constructed in 1893 by H.J. Davison, Jr., a New York publisher. Designed by architect James E. Ware, the 200-room Queen Anne-style structure featured 5 stories, a basement, and a sub-basement. Initially intended as a luxury hotel, the building failed to attract guests and was repurposed in 1907 to house Bennett College. The Bennett campus eventually expanded to include a chapel, stables, dormitories, an outdoor theater, and the Kettering Science Center, a state-of-the-art facility completed in late 1972. However, the high cost of building the Science Center, along with other campus improvements, contributed to the college's financial decline and eventual bankruptcy. Halcyon Hall was never reopened and quickly fell into disrepair. Once the heating system was turned off, water pipes burst, causing extensive damage throughout the building. Large sections of the roof collapsed, and trees began growing through the decaying structure. Its haunting and deteriorated state made Halcyon Hall a popular destination for urban explorers and photographers. Throughout the 1980s, several redevelopment attempts were made, but all failed. Ownership eventually passed to Mechanics and Farmers Savings Bank. When the bank itself collapsed in 1991, its assets were seized by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. Halcyon Hall was slated for demolition in 2012. The property was sold in 2014, with plans to demolish the remains and create a 32-acre park. Demolition began in September 2021 and was completed in 2022. Halcyon Hall was the last remaining structure from the original Bennett College campus. All other buildings on the Bennett campus, except Halcyon Hall and the historic Hale House, underwent asbestos removal before demolition. Next to the former site of Halcyon Hall are the Bennett Commons Apartments. Originally student housing, the apartments were acquired by a developer after the college's closure. Chateau Miranda, also known as Chateau de Noisy, was a 19th century neo-Gothic castle located in Celles, in the province of Namur, Wallonia, Belgium, within the Ardennes region. Demolition of the chateau began in October 2016 and was completed by October 2017. The chateau was commissioned in 1866 by the Liède-de-Kerke de Beaufort family, who had left their former residence, Vèvres Castle, during the French Revolution, and was designed by English architect Edward Milner. Milner died in 1884 before the chateau was completed. The final stage of construction, including the erection of the clock tower, was finished in 1907. The family and their descendants continued to occupy the chateau until World War II. During the conflict, a small part of the Battle of the Bulge took place on the estate grounds, and the chateau was temporarily occupied by German forces. In 1950, the property was renamed Château de Noisy when it was taken over by the National Railway Company of Belgium, NMBS SNCB, to be used as a holiday camp for children. It served this purpose until the late 1970s. By 1991, the chateau had been abandoned due to the high cost of maintenance and the failure to attract investors. Although the municipality of Celles offered to acquire the property, the family declined. As a result, the massive structure fell into a state of severe disrepair, becoming a target for vandalism and natural decay. Parts of the building were heavily damaged by fire, and many of the ceilings collapsed. Despite its ruined state, the chateau became a popular destination for urban explorers. Demolition work began in 2016, amid growing concerns about the building's structural stability. The process started in October 2016, with the roof being the first section removed. By October 2017, the entire chateau had been demolished, with the central tower being the last part to go. Cambusnethan House, also known as Cambusnethan Priory, is located in North Lanarkshire, Scotland. Designed by James Gillespie Graham, it was completed in 1820. The building is listed on the Buildings at Risk Register for Scotland, classified as being at critical risk due to fire damage sustained in the 1980s and subsequent vandalism. It is widely regarded as the finest remaining example of a Graham-designed country house in the quasi-ecclesiastical style of the Gothic Revival. For a brief period in the early 1960s, it was rented as an architect's office by the team responsible for developing the 1960s section of Livingston, Scotland. Later, the building served as a hotel, restaurant, and a medieval banqueting hall, the latter tenuously linked to William Finneman, the 12th century laird of Cambusnethan. Originally, a Norman tower house stood near the site of the current building, replaced in the 17th century by a manor house. This manor house was destroyed by fire in March 1816, leading to the commissioning and construction of the present house in 1820. The priory was built for the Lockharts of Lee from Castle Hill, Auchinleck, in South Lanarkshire. The family's coat of arms, featuring a casket, heart, and lock, is carved above the main entrance and etched into every balustrade of the main staircase inside. This emblem derives from the tradition that the family's ancestors carried Robert the Bruce's heart back from the Holy Land. Nearby, Cambusnethan Manse, now Elena Nursing Home, Netherton, was the birthplace of John Gibson Lockhart, Sir Walter Scott's biographer, and later his son-in-law. Few examples of early 19th century neo-Gothic mansions remain in Scotland, as many were demolished during the late 1950s and 1960s. Cambusnethan House stands out as a significant example of the neo-Gothic style, notable both for its architectural quality and its rarity. Hidden deep in the lush forests of western France lies one of the most enchanting and mysterious castles in the world, Château de la Mothe-Chandeniers. Once a magnificent fortress, today it stands as a hauntingly beautiful ruin, slowly being reclaimed by nature. The castle dates back to the 13th century and has seen centuries of history unfold within its walls. It was originally built as a stronghold, protecting the region during medieval times. Over the years, it passed through the hands of noble families, each adding their own touches to its architecture and gardens. In the 19th century, the castle was transformed into a lavish estate with stunning gardens, fountains, and grand halls. However, tragedy struck in 1932 when a devastating fire broke out, leaving the castle in ruins. Since then, it has been abandoned, untouched, and left to decay. What makes Château de la Mothe-Chandeniers truly special today is how nature has embraced it. Ivy, moss, and trees have intertwined with the stone walls and towers, creating a magical blend of history and wilderness. Photographers, explorers, and dreamers from around the world are drawn to this fairy tale ruin. In recent years, thanks to crowdfunding efforts, there is hope to preserve and restore parts of the castle, keeping its story alive for future generations. Château de la Mothe-Chandeniers stands as a powerful reminder of time's passage and nature's resilience, a real-life castle lost in time and reclaimed by the forest. Hidden in the heart of New York's Hudson River lies a strange and captivating structure, Bannerman's Castle. Sitting on Polapel Island, the ruins of this once grand fortress sparked curiosity and mystery among all who pass by. The story begins with Francis Bannerman VI, a Scottish immigrant and successful arms dealer. In the late 19th century, he purchased vast amounts of military surplus from the U.S. government after the Spanish-American War. Needing a safe, isolated place to store explosives and ammunition, he found the perfect spot, Polapel Island. In 1901, Bannerman began constructing his castle, officially known as Bannerman's Island Arsenal. He designed the buildings himself, drawing inspiration from European castles, Gothic revival styles, and his own imagination. The result was a dramatic and oddly romantic fortress rising from the river. Although the castle was not meant for living, the Bannerman family often spent summers on the island. Visitors were amazed by the castle's beauty and the massive collection of military goods stored within. Tragedy struck in 1918 when Francis Bannerman died. Just 2 years later, an explosion destroyed part of the arsenal. Over time, nature, storms, and neglect reduced the castle to ruins. Today, Bannerman's Castle stands as a haunting relic of a forgotten era. Though it is crumbling, it still draws adventurers, photographers, and history lovers. Seasonal tours allow visitors to step back in time and explore one of New York's most unusual landmarks, an abandoned castle built for weapons, born from war, and now claimed by nature.